Okay, another video on this camera that is older. It's not as good, so hopefully this will run all the way through. Sometimes it'll cut off at a certain point. I don't know why. Maybe there's too much silence for too long. I don't know, but this camera does not do well with videoing. But my other video camera, the sound isn't working. So I'm sorry if it breaks up a bit. Anyways, this video is about juicing. It's the Hamilton Beach versus the LaLanne's, I don't know how to say this, LaLanne's power juicer. I'm going to put the model numbers in the description. I know this LaLanne has multiple models now. That's this one right here. So this one is the power juicer. Just plain old power juicer, not a pro, not an elite. Now, this one, now the camera's going to be a little jiggly for a while. You know what, I'm going to do this one first because it's in front. And then I can hopefully move it without jiggling too much. This one's a Hamilton Beach. I don't think the Hamilton Beach has many models. So I don't think you have to worry as much about getting the right one for this. Now, this is the one, I've had this one for a few years. I got it as a trade with my friend who no longer, I had something that she wanted. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a small appliance. Might not have been. But she traded me whatever for this juicer. She wasn't using this juicer. I don't know if she ever did use the juicer, but she traded me. So I got it. I don't want to say I got it for free because I had to trade it. Now, this one is very loud. I'm going to see if I can. That's just turning it on. That's just turning it on. So when you have the stuff flowing through there, it really gets loud. Okay? Advantages of this one, I can turn it off and on. Okay, remember this. I can turn it off and on, no problem. It'll start right back up when after I turn it off for a while. So I can juice some items, turn it off, it'll turn back on. No problems. Okay, this, it is a little bit harsh. Oh, crap. Now it says the battery's dying. This is a little bit hard to push, but it does push through. Okay. The pulp, it's a little bit moist. A little bit moist. I haven't checked the LaLanne's, so this will be a new one for me. Now this was less moist items though. This was cabbage. I'm going to show you here what I did. Garlic, or ginger, I'm sorry. Cabbage, little hot pepper, just one of these that I put through there, and then an onion. Okay, so none of these were extremely wet items. For extremely wet items, you can usually use a blender. I recommend using a blender for watermelon, citrus juices, even bananas if you're putting, your bananas, if it's just a plain old banana or with another wet item, I would simply use a blender. With the juicer, you lose all this pulp here. That's part of your vitamins. I'm going to say if you use your pulp, if you're using a juicer, make sure you use this pulp for something. I hear a lot of people saying they compost it. I've fed it to my chickens before. The best thing to do is put it into your food that you're using. You can put it in meatloaf, what do you call them, casseroles, egg dishes, your egg bakes. You know how Every old person knows how to make an egg bake in the oven. You can just throw it in there. Always use your pulp. Don't throw it in garbage. I was going to say something else about it. Oh, and if you're going to do that, which I highly recommend you do, cut off all the bad, cut off all the parts that you don't want, like your stems, cut that off. Cut your little ends off. If you have really bad pieces, like spots with mold on it, cut that off. Them you can compost. I don't. I'll just juice it with this, the ginger. This ginger. I get ginger and garlic mixed up. The ginger, I leave this on. I used to peel it off, but it's too hard because look at this. It's really hard to peel that, to grate that off because it's so uneven. So I just leave it on now. It's not a thick peel. It's not like, not even as thick as an apple. It's definitely not as thick as orange. So I just leave it on and I put it goes into my pulp. And I just use it. It's not going to make it crunchy or anything or undigestible because it's so thin that it just grates it up really fine. And anyways, so now this, sorry about, I have to move this around. I do not have a tripod or anybody else filming. I'm filming this. This is what this looks like. Again, this was the cabbage, ginger, onion, and pepper. A tiny little hot pepper. That's a hot pepper. Okay, sorry, I'm going to put this down so it don't jiggle you around here. Now this is the LaLanne's one. Right there. That. Okay, there's your model number. This, okay. Let me pull this forward. Put you down for a minute so you don't get seasick. Okay, this one, problem right away. You have to put it on some type of step. This is a cutting board to make an average glass fit under it. See, that won't fit under it. I like using a bigger glass because if I'm making a lot of juice to put in the fridge to drink during the day or the next day, I will have to refill over and over and over again. Instead of like with this, I can just use three glasses and that would fill my juice container. So I just put it on my cutting board so I could use the tall glass so I wouldn't have to keep dumping it out and whatever. Plus you get more juice. I mean, who wants to drink just a little glass like that of juice? You get a lot of juice. If you're juicing, you're going to want to drink a lot, especially if you're juice fasting. You're not going to want some little cup of juice. You're going to want a big cup of juice. So anyways, that's a problem with it. One of the conveniences with this spout, this one splurts. This is the Hamilton Beach. It splurts. So you have to make sure this cup is right flush up against there, and you have to make sure it's a high glass. You cannot use a smaller glass because what's going to happen, it's going to splurt out and it's going to make a mess. Ask me how I know this. So this one, I don't know if it's the way the spout's shaped or the way it juices. I don't think this is a masticator. I don't think either one of these are masticators. But however, it might be that. Or it might just be the design of the spout. But this one just rolls out. It rolls out. Rolls. Okay, so it doesn't make a mess. So even if you have a glass that's really short, it won't splatter all over your counter and make a mess. Now, this one is a little bit harder to clean. This one, the other one, you just pop it off, and it comes off. You got things on either side. This thing comes off, and this just pops off one hand, right? Now, This is this is the Power Juicer, the Juicer Elite Pro and all that. I know one of them has a different design. I don't know how many of them have a different design. But look, I'm trying to pull this down with one hand so I can hold, and I can't do it. So I'm gonna have to put the camera down, pull it down, and then take this. This thing, you've got to use your this little lever. Again, the newer juicers I don't think have this. And you gotta hold the side. Sorry, again, don't have a tripod, doing this with my hand. Gotta hold the edge of the outside, roll this counterclockwise. Here's the inside of that's the inside of the blade, and then this just comes right off, right? But the problem I have to do this every time I turn it off after I juice, because when I've done this a few times. I turned it off, turned it back on, and it wouldn't run. It would make the noise like it was running, you know, like it was trying to run, but the blade wouldn't spin. Now, I don't know if this is if this was a common defect of this juicer, or if it's just it was misused by the previous owner. Again, I got this at a garage. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I got this at a garage sale for $10. I don't know how much they usually sell for. I've seen different prices, but there's so many different types of brands. This original one is harder to find. The Power Juicer is harder to find, so I didn't have much option in going online to see how much these are selling for used. Because these I don't think they make this model anymore, so I think it would be used. That you'd only be able to buy these used. But that's what I recommend. Reduce, reuse, recycle. There's enough juicers out there in the atmosphere that we don't need to be buying new stuff and destroying our planet. Okay, now this one, it seems a little bit drier. This pulp seems to be a little bit drier. Yep, it's definitely a little bit drier. It's like half as much drier, if this makes sense. Half as much drier as the pulp on the Hamilton. This is the first time I felt it, because this is the first time I've used this juicer. Okay. Now, one of the things I don't like, and this is simply aesthetic, is you got the on-off button where all this information is. Okay. It does make it easier for people who are trying to reorder or call the helpline to tell them, what model they have, so they can help walk them through using the juicer. Or like if they're, heck, looking at a video trying to figure out how to use it. You got that model right there. You don't have to, like this one, the model number is on the bottom. Okay, but the thing is, if you leave this out on your countertop, you have all this junk sitting out there in the open. The other side is bare, but it doesn't have the on-off switch, right? So either you have to have that out in the open, or you have to turn it around. And this thing is, this thing is pretty heavy. But I think it's probably just a little bit heavier than that. I didn't weigh them. That's one thing I should have done. But anyways, another thing that I didn't like is this, let's see, this end thing here. But I think all juicers are like this to some degree. It doesn't stand, like you have to hold it. Like if you're going to move it, you have to hold this. If you're going to move the whole thing at one time, you have to hold the pulp container. But this one you do too, but if you hold it just right at the bottom, you can easily move it all together, because there's a little latch right here. And you can just hold it at a certain angle and move the whole thing. Now, here's the juice from this. This is Jack LaLanne. Let me get the other juice. I'm trying not to move you too much. This is the juice from the Hamilton Beach. Okay, so they look pretty identical. Jack LaLanne, Hamilton Beach. The Hamilton Beach looks a little bit darker. It just might be the shade. See with that? You know, I know it's kind of, it looks a little bit different on video, but it looks about the same. There seems to be a little bit more foam on Hamilton Beach, but it might be because I did that one last. But you would think it should have been enough time, because it was at least probably about 10 minutes from the time I juiced it till the time I started making this video. Let me see if there's anything else. I don't want this thing to go off. Yeah, like I said, cleaning it. Oh, let me show you about cleaning it. Cleaning it, you can find these little brushes at any store. You can probably even find it at the hardware store. This is what you're going to need. I'm going to have to do this one-handed. This is what you're going to need to clean both of these pulper thingies. What do you call these? Whatever they're called. You're going to need it to see, just running water on it. It doesn't work. This thing works very well. You know, you scrape it off. Same here. This is your blade, your inner blade here. This thing you can, really this can pretty much you can just rinse it off. And then this one again, you definitely need it seems like this one from the Hamilton Beach seems a little bit harder, like more comes off from simple rinsing on the LaLanne one than the Hamilton Beach one. But still, both of them you will need that brush. And if you use, I think it comes with one of these. I think they both come with one of these. But if you don't, or if you buy it at a garage sale and it didn't